Hi, good morning and welcome on into Ireland AM on Virgin Media 1. It's Wednesday.
It is.
Happy hump day, babes.
Hi, how are you? It is
humpy?
lovely to have you with us. We hope we find you well this morning. Here's what we've got coming up on today's show. It's going to be very positive, isn't it, Ray?
Yes, it's not going to be humpy at all, unless you've got the hump with us. With the news that Air and Ryanair are the most complained about companies in Ireland, we want to hear your complaints.
Keep it positive.
Yeah, come on, lash them in. I can take it. We're discussing that and all the stories making this morning's newspapers at about 7:15 this morning.
We are. Now, yesterday, students' unions took to the streets asking people to open their homes to college students in dire need of accommodation. We're discussing this at 7:35 this morning.
Plus, we meet the expert adventurer who scaled buildings, dived under glaciers and jumped into a volcano with Will Smith. Explorer Aldo Kane is checking in about 9:20.
Al, ever jumped into a volcano with Will Smith? No.
Not really,
Wouldn't
no.
be on your bucket list.
No,
I don't think so.
no,
Me neither.
No. Now, also else coming up on the show, research has shown that more of us are opting out of our work lunch break. So at 7:45, we're discussing the death of the lunch. We've got to get your thoughts. We'd love to get your thoughts on this. So is your boss a stickler for people taking their lunch breaks, or are you stuck dining at your desk? Well, do let us know. Contact us 0896 111 111. Now, a man who's never stuck at his desk, he's around the country every day. Deric, where are you today?
Who knows where I wake up, Al. Anyway, following our trip to Moycullen in Galway yesterday, we've landed here in County Mayo, and it's a dry and settled start. You'll be glad to hear out there this morning. We will see some patchy mist and drizzle trail around with some showers then in from the west later on tonight. Heavier in nature as they track in the southeasterly direction. So make the most of the morning brightness, the morning sunshine while we have it. Now, we've landed here in the mall in the heart of beautiful Castle Bar in County Mayo, and we're here for two very special reasons. First, to support the local McCann family and also their fundraiser. It's the CJ's Rainbow Charity. They're hoping to raise over €130,000 for two charities, including Hand in Hand and Oscar's Kids. So we've got a 130,000 metre challenge. We're going to be heading out to McHale Park. We're going to be joined by a whole host of Mayo stars. So that's all to come here live from Castlebar right across the morning. And guys, Mayo for Sam.
Just don't say it. Just don't say it. Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. We're not going to reference it.
I'll try not to.
We're not going to make a thing of it. We're just going to fly under the radar and keep our powder dry.
Are you okay?
Yeah,
you haven't started Mayo man yourself.
Stop saying Mayo for Sam.
Okay.
We just need to let it go psychologically. Let's play mind game. We'll fly under the radar and make it happen.
We're going to be talking to CJ's parents as well in just a little while as Deric does that challenge throughout the morning. Now, coming up after the break, we're going to be looking at what's been called the revolution at the pharmacy.
Plus, we'll be revealing some of Ireland's most complained about companies. We'll be back with you just after these.
Welcome back. It's that time of the morning to take a look at the papers. The Irish Times starts with the headline, EU warns against arms sales in Middle East report. The European Union has reminded member states they are forbidden from exporting equipment and arms to countries where there is a clear risk they will be used to commit violations of human rights and humanitarian law.
Home buyers face €80,000 loan shortfall outside capital. That's the front page of the Irish Independent this morning. The paper reports that the affordability gap for first-time buyers continues to worsen.
We're sticking with that story with the Examiner. It says 3-bed house out of reach. A standard 3-bedroom home in Ireland is moving further out of reach of the average Irish couple, even for those who have saved a deposit and availed of government support schemes.
The other big story this morning, revolution at the pharmacy. A radical plan could see pharmacies dispensing medicines without customers paying for a GP visit, is the top story on the Daily Mail this morning.
The Mirror says Irishman on drugs rap in Peru. An Irishman was in custody last night after police in Peru seized 55 kilograms of cocaine to be trafficked to Europe.
And the Herald goes with 10 prisoners hospitalised after suspected overdoses. A total of 10 prisoners are now being treated in hospital for suspected drug overdoses that occurred on the C wing of Portlaoise Prison.
Something completely different on the front of the Star. It says shinning around. Wolftones frontman Brian Moorfield has defended the singing of Ooh Ah Up the Ra during the Olympic homecoming in Dublin and has said he is going to try, wait for this, try to get Kylie Minogue to sing Ooh Ah Up the Ra at Electric Picnic this weekend. Joe Duffy will be going for it today.
We're going. Alan's going on Sunday. We're trying to get tickets for Sunday night.
Yeah, he's trying.
He'll be cheering a lot. And finally, The Sun leads with "Show for it, Grania." TV's Dahi O'Shea has backed pal Grania Shoiga's move into politics, telling The Sun, "No better woman." But she hasn't said herself that she hasn't yet confirmed. That's
I thought you were going to ring her live on air.
I'll do it now.
Monday. Will you do it now? Will you just ring her and get a confirmation?
Yeah, we'll do it. But she's not answering any phone calls.
We're joined by political correspondent from the Irish Times, Jack Horgan-Jones. Have you rung Grania Shoiga to see if she's running for Fianna Fáil?
This is news for me. Where is she supposed to be running?
Galway,
Eamon O'Keefe's seat.
She'll take a seat.
Do you reckon?
Yeah,
this is
absolutely.
the celebrity thing. We were saying it could be more of an MEP thing, but would you reckon a celebrity taking a TD seat?
Well, like look at the European elections.
Nina.
And
Well, Maria's been there a long time. Maria Walsh.
and Ireland South.
Cynthia Newark.
Thank you very much. Oh my God, sorry.
She's a
I put a
barrister.
total blank on that.
Anyway.
She is, yeah.
Listen, we're getting sidetracked. We're getting sidetracked.
Grania for cabinet.
Grania for
Anyway,
cabinet.
yeah.
There we go. We said it here. We're talking about trying to buy a house in Ireland. What's going on?
It's not
You
easy.
can't.
You can't do it. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a new survey from the Society of Chartered Surveyors in Ireland, talking to estate agents. And you know things are bad when estate agents say that house price inflation is out of control and not sustainable, which is what they're saying. And why they're saying it is because they've run a survey and they look at whether people on kind of average income. So this is the storied nurse and a guard on a combined income of 6 figures, 107,000 euros. Can they, even with state support, afford to buy your 3-bed semi? So it's the typical house buyer, the typical house in and around Dublin. Now, obviously, we know that it's not possible in Dublin, but it looks to be the case that even with the state's shared equity scheme, the first home scheme, where the state takes a stake in the house to enable you to buy it, they're not able to buy now in Kildare or Wicklow. So basically, it looks like the problem of Dublin is expanding out into the commuter belt, and that normal homes for normal people on normal incomes are becoming less and less affordable as time goes on. So I suppose that casts a wider doubt over the whole approach to the housing crisis, which is effectively, yes, prices are going up, but we're going to devise these schemes to enable you to participate in an inflating market. So that's going to be, I think,
Which
a
could
wider
be leading
question
to
for
inflation an awful lot of the time. They wonder if all these schemes help fuel inflation.
Yeah, exactly. And there's been a whole wealth of research done on things like the first home scheme, the shared equity scheme, which is the one here, but also on Help to Buy, which says that what you're doing, in fact, is inflating the market. So they've become a big pressure point, a big focal point for the political system. Sinn Féin saying they'd get rid of them, the shared home scheme, on day one were they in government. But the question, I suppose, is whether it's credible to say you're going to quickly bring down house prices to a level where people can purchase and at the same time get rid of these support schemes. And that's really the proposition that's going to be put to voters in the next general election. You know, do you want more of the same, or do you want to step into the unknown? And which is your fear kind of greater of?
Yeah, what is the plan, and what can we be expecting? What we can be expecting, at least, excuse me, is that they're going to go up even. They're expected to go up even further in the next 12 months, by about 4.5%. Like, to continue to go up. Like, is the situation completely hopeless?
Yeah, exactly. So 4.5% house price inflation expected across the next 12 months. But it's worth noting that we're 144% up from the valley of house prices in 2013.
Yeah.
So we're well above Celtic Tiger prices, which we all thought when we're living through the recession, we'll never return to those kind of prices again. But here we are, we're back and we're bigger again. Yeah. And these affordability issues are really starting to bite and really kind of pull at social cohesion as well. Because when you come back to that core idea of Irish politics, really, that the nurse and the guard should be able to buy the 3-bed semi somewhere they want to live.
Yeah.
That kind of dream, and it's not a particularly it's not an over-the-top dream.
It's not
No, it's genuinely what used to be a reality.
It's slipping away from people.
Because that's the example that's there. A guard and a nurse, I know we're going with stereotypes from back in the day, who'd get married, earning €107,000 together. They'd be left €78,000 short if they were applying for a mortgage in a place like County Wicklow for a 3-bedroom semi. Now, as someone who's on the property market, it's hopeless. Like, I see people crying all the time. But we've got the lack of supply, right? And they're trying to bring that up. We've got an increasing population. What else is going on? Is there something else? I know I'm always going on about 20,000 homes on Airbnb, but is it just lack of supply?
I don't think it's quite so straightforward as just lack of supply. I think lack of supply is a big part of it. But, you know, we had, during the Celtic Tiger, to return to that period, we had huge supply and we had very elevated house prices. So I'm not sure it's necessarily the case that you can solve it all by bringing in extra homes. The answer to it is probably more complex than that. But I think, you know, because of that issue around social cohesion and because of that issue around people having reasonable expectations not being fulfilled by the market, I think that, you know, it becomes more pressing than ever to find a solution to this. You know?
If you're trying to buy a house, we'd love to hear from you this morning. How are you getting on? 0896 111 111.
Yeah, we know how you're getting on.
Not good.
Sorry to be bringing it up, and that's the top story again this morning. The other big story is a revolution at the pharmacy.
Yes.
The Daily Mail has the story, the Irish Times, pharmacists to prescribe prescription-only medications for common conditions under new scheme. There's like 8 common conditions, apparently, that a pharmacist will be able to treat. And then if these could be the big 8 that could move things along quicker and save us money, right?
Potentially, yeah. So it's things like allergic rhinitis, cold sores, conjunctivitis, impetigo, which is fairly kind of common day-to-day ailments. And the idea is that instead of having to go to the GP, you can go straight into the pharmacy and they charge you a fee which is yet to be determined. So that's one thing that we don't know about this scheme yet. Yeah, so there is a fee involved. And so
is it like is it 70 euro that you'd be paying to your GP?
You'd have to imagine not, but they don't seem to have ironed that out yet. So while this scheme does look good on the face of it and is probably to be welcomed as a kind of structural reform, there's a lot we don't know about how it's going to work in practice, the cost being one. And the second part being whether it's actually going to be rolled out at all, because there seems to be fairly significant resistance from the doctors on one hand, and you can probably imagine why.
Okay.
They're saying it's not safe, you know, you can't be a diagnostician and a pharmacist, we're the diagnosticians, we're the GPs. But I'm not sure exactly how the doctors could stop it. What's more concerning, I think, is that there's opposition, not to the scheme itself, but from the pharmacists who say that they want their fees restored to something approaching the level they were at in 2009 when they were cut during the recession.
All right, yeah.
That's before they actually partaken in it. So they're saying, yeah, great, we're all in favour of this, we've been looking for ages, but before you roll it out, we want 180 million euros to bring us back to the level that we were at. So there's many a slip, I think, on this one.
And where's that? It's not on the back of the couch, like.
No, 180 million euro.
Yeah, so 180 million
to
euros
restore all the
is
pharmacists
the gross cost to bring them back to the level, the prescription charge level that they were at back in 2009. So, look, I would imagine this is probably a bargaining position as opposed to a red line. And, you know, this isn't happening, but it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out, particularly during the budgetary negotiations, because this is something obviously Stephen Donnelly, the Minister for Health, has made a big song and dance about yesterday. He wants to see it rolled out. They're looking to kind of, you know, hold his feet to the fire. The budget's just around the corner.
It is.
Let's see how this one shakes out.
Of course, yeah. Something that is done in other jurisdictions as well. It's not like it's a new thing here. But anyway, we'll be talking more about that.
Complaints. I want to complain.
Very quickly, complaints. There's a list of the top complaints to the CCPC.
Yes, yeah. So up by 18% overall, with two names that have been towards the top of every consumer's. I'm
so sorry. It's more than Tommy.
They don't just go directly into my Instagram inbox. Why?
No, it's Air and Ryanair. Air and Ryanair are the most complained about companies. But before the competition gets ahead of itself, Sky is up there as well with 254 complaints, and Aer Lingus are in the top 10 as well.
Oh, wow. Most complained about companies.
Yeah, so it seems that people are complaining with a vim and vigour, not seeing at least 20% more than last year. What's interesting about this actually is that, do you remember the case last year, the High Court case with Air, where they were effectively telling their consumer staff, you know, your career could suffer if you give people the correct advice here.
Oh, yes,
this is all thrashed out in the High Court, and it was an incredibly kind of revealing story.
Yeah.
And they were hit with a whopping fine of €7,500 arising from this. So it was basically nothing. And what the CCPC, the Consumer Watchdog, is saying that they will continue fining and continue doing what they can within their regulatory toolkit, but they want new powers to levy bigger fines, because that kind of fine is no disincentive for behaviour. You know, they're saying that they want to be able to levy a fine which is based on a percentage of a company's turnover. So that's a bit like what the Data Protection Commissioner can nominally do to the Facebooks and the Metas and the X's of this world. And they're saying, you know, give us the power to actually hit them where it hurts here, and we'll see if that changes. Because obviously, you know, the consumer themselves participating in the marketplace is getting a more and more difficult time with it, and more frustration building up on customer services. And we're seeing that reflected in the numbers.
Would you complain? I prefer to sit down and eat
wants to
rusty
be
nails
massive
and-
for me
yeah,
to complain. It's
like in a
interesting as well
restaurant.
that the serve, like, I'd complain about my flights being disrupted because
Yeah.
it's my holiday. That's a biggie, right?
Yeah.
And the other one is I'll always complain if the broadband is gone. Do you know
Okay.
what I mean? Those
Those two
type of
things.
things are easier to complain
And
about.
they're towards the top. So telecommunications is the top, holidays number
Yeah.
3, home building and improvements number 2, which is interesting as well. But like your people are so invested, you know, like
Yeah.
We'd love to know if you
But
would...
like a dinner.
A dinner. Like, would you complain at dinner
No,
in
I'd
a
be
restaurant or
mortified.
anything like
Or a
that?
haircut. Look at this
or
head.
If you've done, or if you've gotten on to the CCPC, we'd love to hear from you. 0896 111 111. Jack Horgan-Jones from the Irish Times, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back with you in Ireland AM in just a minute. Now, yesterday, student union bodies launched a Digs drive. This was happening in Dublin in an aim to tackle the student accommodation crisis.
The president of Trinity College Dublin Students' Union, Jenny Maguire, tells us more as we approach a new academic year. Jenny, you're very welcome. Thanks for joining us this
Thanks
morning.
very much for having me on.
We've just been we're talking every morning about an accommodation crisis, a housing crisis. There's no place to live, there's no place to lay your head, and it affects the students, but particularly at this time of year. We're only a couple of weeks out now, really, from college starting back up, and it's getting really, really serious now in terms of kids going, great, I've got the points, I've got the place, where am I going to sleep?
That is exactly it. Like, there is a panic every single academic year. You know, there's always a rush, no matter what the situation is, to just get in, make sure you're all settled. But the idea of being settled is kind of a luxury now. People are weeks into their studies, still sleeping on couches, commuting for hours and hours, not because they want to, because there's simply nowhere to live. And so the college experience has been completely shifted, and students are kind of being left behind, I think, a lot in the conversation when it comes to accommodation. Like, so much of it is privatized, it's unbelievably expensive, and it's just not realistic for so many people.
You've hit it on a point there, and this is for colleges around the country where students are they're living at home and they're going like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours a day travel to go to college. You mentioned there the accommodation. 83% of student accommodation is private. Before we get into the Digs drive, how much on average are they asking for? Say you're getting student accommodation in Trinity or something like that. How much are we talking?
So you're looking at upwards of €10,000 for 9 months for living in a beautiful box room in across the city.
Okay.
Like, it's unbelievable.
Right.
Like, there used to be quite a big difference between the private market and the accommodation owned by colleges, but because there's so much underfunding in the third level sector, that fee is just being pushed right down onto students, and it's coming in the form of through accommodation. Like, for example, in UCD last year, they opened new accommodation and it's 14 grand a year.
For the 9 months?
For the 9 months. I don't know who that is meant for, because it's completely unrealistic for any student, like, to afford that.
It feels like that's meant for the international market or something. Like, it does, like, who? 14 grand?
But that, like, colleges are forced to reach out to the international market, you know. And of course, like, we want as many people to come to Trinity and universities across the country, but they're really left with no other option because of the underfunding.
Okay.
Tell us about the Digs drive then. I suppose we all have this notion of college, you go stay in Digs, you go and, you know, you'll have a lovely experience, you'll share a room with somebody or you'll be put up in somebody's spare room. Has there been a cultural change away from Digs?
Well, the cultural change is just kind of apathy in general towards accommodation, but it ultimately becomes you get what you get. So many students are, because there is no protections in Digs for students, like, you have no right to privacy, you have no right to actually stay in there. They could throw you out at a moment's notice. But the reason why we're doing the Digs drive is because we're left with no other option. If it comes between Digs or students being homeless, we in students' unions across the country, not just the ones in Dublin partaking in this drive, we're left with no other option in demanding just somewhere for students to rest their heads.
So what did you do? Yes, like, I was here yesterday morning going, what are they up to? What did you do?
So we were around dart stations, and this morning we're doing it as well. Dart stations, shopping streets, we're kind of everywhere, giving out flyers, talking to people, asking them, any gaps? Like, does anyone have...
If you have a spare room.
Does anyone have a spare room to put a student in? You know, there's great incentives for people. There's 14 grand tax-free they can earn up to. And there are ways to make it safer for students by making a little signing something together. But like, this is we're just desperate at this point, and it's an immediate solution to an issue that's far bigger than just digs.
It's kind of interesting because I know last year that this was happening for teachers and guards as well, who were living in urban city centres, that they were
Professionals
that their bodies were going out to people going, can you rent a room to some of our teachers because they've got no place to stay in urban areas. So now students are competing,
I know,
in some areas with people who are professionals trying to get a room.
I know. And like, students are often, you know, there's a terrible stereotype about students, about being troublemakers and this, that and the other. But, you know, students have had to learn real quick that they cannot be doing that. It's either that or being homeless. And so the student experience is completely changed. The idea of going out, finding yourself, finding out new things you enjoy about yourself outside of the confines of secondary school. Yeah. Like, college is just now, you go to your lecture, you commute for hours, you're staying in someone else's house, and you can't be out too late, and it's hard.
We were looking, there was a big story last week. Again, this happens every August, where people are being scammed out of huge amounts, thousands in their deposits, because people are preying on students that are desperate for a room. What warning would you give to any students going, oh, geez, that looks great, like on Daft or whatever, on other websites, going, geez, that looks great?
What I'd say is, take a deep breath and go through your students' unions. You know, we do the dirty work of finding out what's right, what's wrong. We have portals up on all our websites where landlords can sign up their properties and their rooms directly, and we make sure that they are following a good agreement as well.
Okay, so that's great. And that's students' unions around the country, because I know you're all trying to coordinate and make this work.
Around the country, there's it's standard practice now, and it's a part of the job.
And the Leaving Cert results are coming out like 17th, isn't it?
30 seconds.
They're coming out very soon.
If someone is watching and they have a spare room, how can they can get in touch directly with the Students' Union?
Get in contact with your local Students' Union all around the country and say, look, I have this room, can I please offer it? And then they'll be in touch.
Okay, great. There's a few bob as well, up to 14,000
Up to 14,000
tax. But you're not charging 14,000. Please touch out the arse. Okay. Right. Get in touch with your local Students' Union. Jenny, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much, Jenny.
Good luck.
Really appreciate
it.
Thank you.
Enjoy the year. Congrats.
The President.
The President. Madam President.
Madam President.
Right. Alan, what's coming up next?
Well, Ray, after the break, we're going to discuss the death of the lunch break, along with the do's and don'ts of dining at your desk. So do you skip your lunch break? Do you have it at your desk? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. So you can get in touch with us. You can WhatsApp us 089 611 111, and we'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Welcome back. Now, research has shown that more people are opting out of a lunch break in favour of desk dining.
Yes, and here to discuss this is HR consultant Caroline Reedy. Good morning to you, Caroline.
Good morning.
I suppose after COVID and more people working at home, the traditional lunch break is gone, but is it because of that, or were we moving away from it anyway?
I think for a lot of people, flexibility is key now. So a lot of people want to be able to do what they want, when they want it, rather than be setting prescribed times that you must have your tea break and you must have your lunch break. I suppose notwithstanding that, there are legal parameters around no matter what type of job you do, you need to get a break. After 4.5 hours, you have 15 minutes. After 6 hours, you get a half-hour break. So they're probably the only parameters. So somebody saying, for example, I don't want to take any break and I'd like to finish earlier, that's not an option if you want to be compliant.
OK, so legally. So what is it? It's 15 minutes after? Is this like your tea break in the morning, whatever?
And then there's half an hour after 6 hours. Now, you can incorporate 15 minutes into that.
So legally, your lunch break is only half an hour?
Legally, that's all it is, yeah. Depending on how many hours you work. But the 6 hours, normally most people's day is an 8-hour day or something like that. So that is probably the only factor that needs to be taken into account. Because, as I say, an exception is never an issue. So somebody's got a very important hair appointment or, you know, something like that. Once in a blue moon, it's not going to be an issue. But the Organisation Working Time Act requires people to take their breaks.
OK.
OK. we all know that that's not happening, though, is it? In an awful lot of workplaces, you see people there tapping away at their computer and they're eating.
Sandwich.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the culture that you talk about, Alan, which is when COVID kicked in, a lot of people were working from home. And it was literally like eating and working at the same time.
Yeah.
And now we're back into the office. There's a lot more, maybe one day everybody goes for lunch because everybody's in and they're building, collegiality. But in general now, a lot more people are eating at the desk or eating on the go or not taking their actual break.
Are there benefits to actually taking your break?
Without doubt, especially for people who are in front of screens. I think to keep your concentration for an 8 hours without having had time away from the screen and, fresh air, etc. All the research tells us productivity is not as good for people not to do that. I suppose breaks came in the legislation way back to facilitate health and safety. So when people were doing more manual jobs, which there still are lots of, the requirement to take a break to make sure people's concentration was enhanced. So I suppose without doubt, breaks are really important. I think the big challenge now is people in general want to work and take a break when suits them. And a lot of people, for example, working from home might put on a wash, take a quick coffee with them on a break, do a quick put on the dinner, but they might be eating at the same time. So the multitasking piece of making the most of your break when people are at home, I think, gets clouded then when they're in the office as well.
I think when it comes to all, you keep on mentioning, or we're talking about social cohesion, like a lot of that has come up this morning in what we're talking about. And that is kind of getting out of the office, creating relationships with your colleagues, like going out, having a chat,
more of a chat outside, away from it. Yeah.
And then also the surrounding businesses, if you work in a town or a city, you go and you spend money there. But it's been found in America that there's been a decrease in lunchtime spending because of the cost of living and inflation.
Absolutely.
So that's having an effect on people, I would assume, kind of going, oh, listen, I can't afford to go out for lunch. I can't go and buy it.
Absolutely. And I think people are generally now doing the one day maybe might be the treat to go out. But we're definitely finding a lot of the coffee shops, a lot of the, foodie places that would have been in high density office environments are definitely, a lot of them have closed or a lot of them are opening more condensed days because they've seen the pattern of people working from home. And generally now everybody is saying, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Wednesday, Thursday in particular are the days people are in the office, but the other days they're not. Wow. So coffee shops, restaurants are definitely feeling the pinch.
Yeah. Do you think that there might be a fear of when say you're started there in a new job, or you're not there a while, or maybe you still are, but then everybody else is having lunch at their desk and you're going, I better not go off to the coffee shop and be the only one leaving the office for my half hour?
Yeah, I think you're spot on, Alan. The culture is a lot to do with it. And especially for new people, you're a new graduate just started in the organisation or whatever your role is. If everybody sits at their desk having their lunch, it's a bit like nobody leaves until the boss leaves.
Yeah.
That, I suppose, was a lot more, boomers and that generational piece. Whereas we're finding now with the more recent generations, they do what suits them and they're a lot less compliant around stuff like that. But no doubt about it, it still puts the whole piece of, I don't want to go out for an hour if nobody else is
doing it.
Absolutely,
and that'd be talked about.
Absolutely.
We'd
no
love
question.
to hear from you on this in relation to your lunch. 089 111 111. If there is a situation where you're at work and you're kind of going, right, if this is a possibility, if I work through my lunch break, I can leave an hour earlier. That might be something people are like, I want to beat the traffic, I want to get home to the kids, I'm out of here, I'm not taking my lunch break.
That has to be agreed by the bosses, obviously, yes?
I suppose ultimately the legislation is what usually becomes the obstacle there, because ultimately people have to take a break, as we outlined already. So normally that's what actually is the prohibiting factor for that to be a typical scenario. As I said, an exception is an exception, fair enough. But in your example there, Myrne, where somebody's trying to beat the traffic every day, that's the issue.
OK, because I suppose the issue, it also is that if people are leaving, if they're not even leaving earlier, but they're desk dining and they're working they're not taking that break anyway, if they feel like I have to get this done. So there's no sort of break at all. So it is up to the bosses to make sure people are taking their breaks?
Absolutely, I suppose. And that's a good thing that the responsibility is solely at the employers' responsibility, because you mentioned the culture, Alan, of if the manager is there or others are there, then nobody's going to do it. So I think that's the piece that a lot of people don't realise. Actually, it's an obligation that I get my breaks, so that they shouldn't have to feel bad about requesting them or wanting to take them.
So just a general thing in the office, lads, come on, get up, spend 20 minutes out in a bit of air, go out to the canteen or do whatever, go for a walk and then come back.
Absolutely. And again, I suppose it's putting the onus back on the culture being one that's encouraging of that. And as you mentioned, the collegiality now, for anybody who's back in the office, it's all about building that time and having the walk, having the chats, having lunch together.
Yeah. Or sitting
Very
there reading your
interesting.
book,
I
whatever
always
you
thought everybody got an hour lunch break. Why did I think that?
So did I. I was just like, it's an hour,
half
right?
an hour.
Officially, however, the employer can give longer.
But it is
absolutely.
half an hour officially in law.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Caroline Reedy, HR consultant, thank you so much. Let's not say anything about the half an hour in case someone's watching going, do you know what, I'm taking half an hour off them now. No, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Great.
Thank you so much for that.
Pleasure as always.
Now, still to come this morning, Edward Hayden talk about lunching. He's going to make us a lovely chicken broccoli bake that we could have for our lunch tomorrow.
Lovely. We'll talk to you very shortly on Ireland AM. Hello, welcome back to Ireland Day, and we hope you're having a lovely morning. Here's what's coming up.
At 8:15, we talked to Niamh McCann, who's honouring her late son CJ through a charity cycle. Niamh will share her journey and the impact of their fundraising efforts to support families dealing with childhood cancer.
Yeah, she's a wonderful woman. We'll tell you about that very shortly. Deric will be telling us more about that charity cycle in Mayo. Deric, are you there now? No, we'll talk. Oh, there he is.
Hello, there. Welcome down here to McHale Park in County Mayo. We've got Mayo footballer with us here this morning. Do you want to count them in there?
Yeah, all right, guys. 3, 2, 1, go!
There we go, Dermot. Absolutely fantastic. Dermot, first up, you are 10 years with the Mayo senior team. What does it take to stay at this level?
That's right. I suppose just train hard, and I've been very lucky since I've got involved. I have such a great team around me, players and managers who push me on every year and make it easier for me.
Now, we're here for a very special reason this morning. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so we're here for CJ's Rainbow charity cycle to raise awareness around it, who are raising awareness around childhood cancer and raising funds for Hand in Hand and Oscar's Kids charity, two charities that help families cope with childhood cancer.
Now, the aim here this morning is to do 130,000 metres, right?
Yes, so we have 5 teams here, so between cycling, climbing and running, we're hoping to cover 130,000 metres, and that represents the €130,000 goal that we're hoping to raise.
And we're up to about 118,000 at the moment, I believe.
Yeah, so not much further to go now.
All right, another 10 or 12 grand.
Yeah.
By the way, I know the club championship kicking off this weekend. You're with Ballintubber.
Yeah, that's right. Playing Saturday evening now against Ahamore, so looking forward to that.
Okay, and obviously your teacher at the moment, so you're still on your Holliers.
Yeah, nearly back now, just getting ready last few bits now.
All right, okay. Will Mayo ever do it?
Hopefully, yeah, I hope so.
All right, here. We'll have more here from McHale Park, right across the morning. But for me and all the gang, big cheer, lads. 130,000 metres, that's what they have to do. Back to you in studio in Dublin.
Fair play. Oh my God, we're trying to raise a pile of money, and we'll tell you more about that charity in just a few minutes. Plus, after 9, we've seen all that. A world record-setting adventurer whose latest documentary was directed by Titanic director James Cameron.
Awesome.
I mean, that's a name to drop. Aldo Kane. 9:20 is going to be here.
That's a little bit later on this morning. And we'll also be chatting to the shy pensioner who's landed a modelling career at 70 after an Instagram pic went viral.
Gorgeous. And that's not all this morning. Of course, Alan is in the kitchen with the one and only Edward Hayden.
I am indeed. Yes, the effervescent Edward Hayden is here. What are you making for us this morning, Edward?
Now, I'm doing a lovely chicken and broccoli crumble this morning. It's a kind of a two-pronged attack. We're going to make a lovely savoury crumble topping, and we've got a lovely chicken and broccoli in a creamy sauce with leek and some white wine that you could do with pasta if you wanted as well.
I tell you, I had that the other night for my dinner.
Not like this, I can assure you.
Not like this. I tell you, it was store-bought.
It wasn't.
Now, looking forward to that later on. But
Look at this morning's papers. We'll start with the Irish Times. The headline there, EU warns against arms sales in Middle East report. The European Union has reminded member states they are forbidden from exporting equipment and arms to countries where there is a clear risk they will be used to commit violations of human rights and humanitarian law.
Home buyers face €80,000 loan shortfall outside capital. That's the front of the Irish Independent. The paper reports that the affordability gap for first-time buyers continues to worsen.
The Examiner leads with this story as well. They say 3-bedroom houses out of reach. A standard 3-bedroom home in Ireland is moving further out of reach of the average Irish couple, even for those who have saved a deposit and availed of government support schemes.
Revolution at the pharmacy. A radical plan could see pharmacies dispensing medicines without customers paying for a GP visit. That's the top story on the Daily Mail.
The Mirror goes with Irishman on drugs rap in Peru. An Irishman was in custody last night after police in Peru seized 55 kilograms of cocaine to be trafficked to Europe.
And the Herald goes with 10 prisoners hospitalised after suspected overdoses. A total of 10 prisoners are now being treated in hospital for suspected drug overdoses that occurred on the C wing of Portlaoise Prison.
The Star says, shinning around. Wolf Tones frontman Brian Warfield has defended the singing of Ua Up the Ra during the Olympic homecoming in Dublin. And he has said that he's going to try to get Kylie Minogue to sing Ua Up the Ra at a Letter Picnic this weekend.
And finally, The Sun leads with Show for it, Grania. TV's Dahi O'Shea has backed his pal Grania showing his move into politics, telling The Sun, no better woman. Are we backing her, actually? What's our position there? She's our pal too, right?
Well,
she is our pal.
If she wants to do it, let her do it.
I think she'd be mad to do it. I think she'd be mad to do it. Could you imagine being a politician?
No,
I mean,
absolutely
if you're
not.
a politician watching, tell us how
But
hard
as
it
I
is.
said, no better woman.
No better woman, yeah, do you know what?
Keep it going. Now, lots of texts coming in because we were talking about a couple of things this morning. One was, is the lunch break gone, literally gone? Do you have lunch at your desk? Are you afraid to go out for lunch when everybody else is sitting at their desk? And Deric says, I work for a large retailer, and in the last year, they've become very strict with staff taking their lunch break. We have to log in and log out on the time, and it's regularly checked. And if you're not taking your full lunch break, you're told in no certain terms you've got to take it.
Take it. That's a good thing. That's a healthy
legislation thing.
Yeah. So you need a break.
This is true. But the other thing that occurs, well, in my case anyway, it's just time management. You're like, oh, geez, I still haven't got that done and I need to take me a break. I tell you what, I'll do both at the same time. A lot of people just aren't managing their time better to go, I'm taking the break because I need the break.
We get distracted by this yoke,
Yeah,
I think.
that's it.
And the next thing you're like, I haven't eaten anything. Oh, I haven't done anything. I haven't talked to anyone.
I always thought everybody got an hour, but it's like legally, it's
Stop
only...
telling people that.
Well, Caroline was saying that
It's half an hour, though,
but you can amalgamate. Well, you do the time, and you can amalgamate the full 45 minutes, so 15 and a half. So it's 3/4 of an hour. So you have 3/4 of an hour. Take the hour. Sure.
Because you know the 15 minutes from the suspiog.
Yeah, but are you not allowed that and a 15-minute break in the afternoon and an hour break? No.
No. What she said was you can join the two of them together. So it's 45 minutes total.
We'll say nothing. We'll say it's an hour.
The two stretches of time.
We'll say it's an hour. Judy says, I work from home and I take my lunch break every day. It's even more important to take that break when you have no one around to remind you. I can imagine working from home and you wouldn't stop. You have to go out, go for the walk, get away from the desk in the house.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the smokers as well, guys? They get
lots more
they
breaks.
spend half the day outside.
And vapors.
And the smokers and the vapors.
The vapors.
Guys, we need to have a serious conversation.
Serious conversation about the smokers now outside. Valerio says, I'll never skip my lunch break. The world may fall apart, but my pen drops. I'm going for my lunch.
Valerio.
I also complain when they schedule meetings around my lunch hour that usually goes on from 12:30 to 1:30. I say, forget about it. If it's important, schedule the meeting at 9. I love Valerio come in and work with us.
Brilliant. That is so good. Someone says our workload increased so much during COVID that it's not really possible to take breaks now if you want to leave on time.
Well, this is it. Mission creep.
That's terrible.
Yeah, this business of a share. You take on those extra couple of jobs as well, so you can't take your lunch break.
As always, keep those comments coming into us. It's 089 6 111 111. I thought I was giving out my number for a second.
Coming up, we hear from Niamh Egan about the tribute to her late son, CJ, and a mission to support families facing childhood cancer.
Yeah, don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this short break.
Now, you're very welcome back to Ireland AM. ATRT is the most common malignant form of brain tumours in children under the age of 1, something our next guest sadly knows all about.
Just feels wrong saying brain tumours under the age of 1. Joining us now to speak about her son CJ's childhood cancer and the upcoming fundraiser that we've been talking about with Deric all morning for CJ's Rainbow is Niamh McCann. Niamh, thank you so much for joining us. You are the mother of CJ. Can you tell us about CJ?
Well, I'm very biased, but he was the most amazing little boy from the time he came into our world. He was born on the 17th of January, 2022, and he was magic from the start. Once he started to smile and got the belly laughs, he had everyone he ever met. He just was this, like, most socially engaged person from the smallest point. So there, yeah, he just, you could make him laugh so easily, and when you did, everyone around lit up. So as I say, I was biased, but he was magic. He really was.
You already had two little girls before CJ, so you were used to having babies around. CJ, was everything perfectly okay at the beginning once he was born?
Yeah, look, we felt so blessed because unfortunately our second daughter Clodagh had a brain injury at birth, so we were all too aware of the milestones and, you know, what happens and the magic of versus, I suppose, the world we were in for those first 2 years. So when CJ was born and he was perfect, and I hate using the word because perfect and normal became, you know, nearly trigger words in our environment for a few years. So when CJ was born and everything was perfect, we honestly, it just felt like we had, you know, hit cloud 9 and the world was as it should be. So those first few months with CJ were just amazing. And we felt so content and so blessed that we had, you know, 2 other healthy children. Clodagh is thankfully, I suppose she defied all the odds. And she is, again, I hate the word normal, but a perfectly normal 6-year-old diva.
So what happened? But there was no indicators then from the outset. So,
No.
so what happened? What did you
So
spot?
when CJ was 9 months old, he became sick, unwell, but nothing. If you had told me at that point that it was a brain tumour, I possibly, you know, would have laughed you off or called you mad. So we went to the GP, and the GP said that he was dehydrated. He had been vomiting for the few days previous, so he sent us to Sligo General for fluids. That's why we initially went.
Okay.
We were hoping to be home at 3 o'clock that day. That was kind of in the plan. And CJ had fallen on the Monday, and I know it sounds quite bizarre, but it was that blessing in disguise, because this wouldn't have been diagnosed only for the fact probably he had fallen. An eagle-eyed paediatrician said, you know, maybe there's a few things that add up here. I've seen a similar case in Tempest Street, and she asked for a CT scan. And what came back from the CT scan was that CJ had a brain tumour.
I know, he's only 9 months old.
9 months old, yeah.
So thank God for this doctor.
Oh, for
'cause
sure.
This could have gone
We've
on.
said every time we've met her, we've like,
That
it
she's-
was our saving grace. I know it sounds so bizarre in light of what happened thereafter, but we got the most magical year with our son because with ATRT, it's a very aggressive paediatric brain tumour that he had, and most people from the time of diagnosis to passing, his survival chances were 5 to 10%. So we knew from the outside we had a challenge, but because of the early diagnosis, we had time, you know, to fight it and time to spend with him.
But you're a mum. You had a baby. When you hear the words, it's cancer. What
Yeah,
goes
I
through
can't
you?
really describe that bit because I think for a time the world just pauses. Dr. John Card, who was an amazing neurosurgeon in Tempest Street, he brought us up to the room and I held CJ, and we weren't expecting to find out it was cancer that day. It was the MRI results, and we thought we'd need a biopsy. So he put the MRI up on the screen and he just told us that the cancer had spread. And yeah, there's this feeling, unfortunately we had it with Clodagh as well, but it's this feeling in the pit of your stomach that when people say, you know, I felt that in the pit of my stomach, I now can identify with that because unfortunately we've had to, you know, feel that a few times in our parenting. But yeah, I suppose when he's sitting on your knee and he's so well, it's just really hard to get your head around that, you know, that there could be cancer in, you know, our son. Yeah.
I'm very sorry. When you I naively go through, anytime I hear cancer, anytime a friend is diagnosed or a relative, they're diagnosed, you immediately flick into sort of TV mode, which is like, we caught it early, we're going to be on top of it, we'll get it right away.
For sure.
But, you know, and you kind of, it'll be grand, it'll be fine, we'll deal with it, and we'll sort it out. And you have this expectation as well, now we've caught it, we've got the scan, we'll get straight in and we'll get it treated, and we'll get it sorted. When, lads, don't be putting on the video now as well.
I know. Really.
We'll get it sorted right away. What were the obstacles that you ran up against then in terms of getting it sorted right away?
Yeah,
We've got a
so
baby here, we need to get this sorted.
At the time, we never lost hope. You know, we knew it was a probability rather than a possibility that CJ would die. But I suppose we wanted another miracle, and like with Clodagh, we knew we had got that. So it was almost like, you know, we've done these mountains before, let's do it again. And we met Joe and I after finding out that news. You know, we sat in that room in Temple Street and cried and hugged CJ, and, you know, we're fighting this, you know, and you make that decision to go into fight mode, and the brain is funny, it just, it takes over, and for sure, you know, we fought, and he fought so unbelievably hard. Like, he went through chemotherapy, and like once it was over, he wanted to laugh and play and smile. And, you know, the system as it is, you know, it's hard to navigate because you're thrown into this world of childhood cancer, one that I totally relate to. You hear it and you go, you know, that's sad or that's difficult. But then you realise, you know, there's so much more involved in that world, including, like, you know, trips from the west of Ireland to where's our National Paediatric Oncology Centre. It's in Crumlin. OK, this becomes your point of every chemo, and every consultant and every MRI, you know, is based there. And then you realise there's also a bed shortage within that system. And that was probably one of the most shocking things for us, because we live in Ireland.
Yeah.
We're about to open one of the most expensive hospitals, the most in the world. And there's children who have cancer who can't access a bed. Now, that just came as possibly, I know it sounds more of a shock than nearly the cancer, because it was like, we can fight this, let's fight this. Yeah. It's rare, it's aggressive. It was actually 1 in a million was CJ's chances of having ATRT. And yet you're left with all these other things that are out of your control, that, like, I can't help my child, I need the system to help my child.
So when there's a bed shortage like that, or there's what happened? Would they ring and say, listen, sorry, I know you're supposed to be in tomorrow, but could you put it off? You
become so used to the system, but as the system works, the day you're scheduled for chemo, we would have had bloods taken in Sligo on, let's say, a Monday. Okay. And then if the bloods are okay, so you're nervous about that, or the blood's okay for treatment. So if the bloods come back okay, you wait on a Tuesday morning for a call to say there's a bed. And the first time that we found out there was no bed just came as such a shock. It was actually on CJ's first birthday. And I hate going back to that time because of the guilt I felt, because we had left the hospital. And if we had ever thought there was no bed for him, we never would have left.
Of course. Oh.
So
how are you meant to know?
Yeah, no, and you don't. You know, that's what I mean. Again, it was such a shock. You know, we presumed he's due to start his chemo on Tuesday. But then it became such a routine, and it became so normal that, you know, when he was scheduled for chemo, is there a bed? No, not today, but tomorrow. And you accepted it. Yeah. And I know this isn't a new story, and that's, you know, the real killer. You look at these headlines and you go, oh, and then you move on. But when it's your story, when it's your son, you know, I would have taken someone to the boxing ring that week if I thought I could have got him a bed and got him chemo, because you will do anything. You know?
Of course. Of course you would.
It's not right. We spend the most per capita in this country on healthcare. Your baby boy, he lived for 21 months. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about his final day?
Sure. I mean, it's very bizarre, but when you're in the world of childhood cancer, and we found out CJ was going to die at the end of August, and we told the girls, and I suppose we knew he wasn't going to have Christmas. That was definitive. Our consultant, it was my first question, actually, the child in me, but will he be here for Christmas? And she said no. So we knew the time was going to be limited. But we feel really blessed that CJ got to pass away at home, because the week before we had been in Sligo, and he was very unwell, and I begged him not to die in hospital, because I wanted him to be at home with us. Yeah. And it was really beautiful. Joe and I were in the bed, and he passed away on my chest the same way he came into the world. and we had all our family in the house, and during the day they all got to come and say goodbye, and we listened to music, and the girls sat and we read stories, and it was actually if you've never been in that environment, and I'm really glad most people haven't, but it was actually really beautiful. It was really beautiful, and that might sound bizarre, but it was the way that if it was going to happen, it was the way I wanted it to happen, and we all did. And yeah, I feel really blessed that, that's the way he left this world. Yeah, and it was so peaceful. It was so peaceful. Yeah.
Thanks so much for talking to us. Jesus, I can't imagine talking about it.
But you were all there. You're with him. He was obviously loved so much, and he's with you every single day. He's with your whole family.
Yeah.
But you've decided to do something because you've gone through this. You've got personal experience, and there's people at home who are going through this now.
Yeah, I feel the pressure and the weight of all we've gone through to impart those lessons to other people and to help other families. Because, look, we're all too aware we have a sad story. None of it doesn't sit well with my family or any of us. We're very positive people, and we want to be happy. So even though it's a sad story, we are living a very happy life, albeit with grief all around us.
Yeah.
And we know the challenges that families face, and unfortunately are going to face, because with the beast that is cancer, it'll just, there is no cure for it globally at the moment. So other children will be diagnosed. So Joe decided while we were on the ward that he would, when this was all over, whatever that looked like, that he would do a fundraiser. And that is why we have chosen to do this huge fundraiser for other families, other CJs. This is to remember CJ, but really it's for other families.
Yeah,
other CJs.
there are other mums getting that call going, you were supposed to have your chemo, but listen,
and you saw those new mothers and those new parents on the ward. Again, like with the system, the ward became familiar. Where's the parents' room? And you're going past the other kids and talking about the slippers, but then you see the new parents. And that's actually more heartbreaking than anything, because they have to figure this system out and figure out, there was within, we went to Sligo, 24 hours later, I had like a nappy bag. And 24 hours later, we weren't home for 11 weeks.
Yeah, wow. And you just thought, like you said, you were just going for the fluids. So it's for those parents that are going through that, CJ's Rainbow. And what are we doing?
So, 21 cyclists, all novice cyclists, are cycling from Mallinhead to Mizenhead, starting on the 22nd of August. They're going to cover 630 kilometres. So there's 21 to match. CJ was 21 months. And the money that's raised is going to go to Oscar's Kids and Hand in Hand, who were two of the incredible charities that helped us along the route, along our journey. And we want to be able to help them help other people.
You've already, Deric is there today in Michaela Park because we want to do this. You've already raised over €100,000. Yeah. You've increased it to 130, and this money really makes a difference. And the fact that you've decided to do this, is this helping you?
Absolutely.
Is it?
Yeah. I feel like we get to carry, like, even the rainbow, like the logo, CJ's Rainbow. Like, we always, I don't know why, but a rainbow was massively associated with CJ before he was diagnosed.
Okay.
There was a song I listened to on my Labour playlist that was rainbows, and it was just always, and then we had a rainbow that went over his head, which was part of that song.
His baby girl.
So it just, it's keeping him so much part of it, and it's inspiring other people. Like, as I say, the lessons we've learned. Life is so precious. It's so precious. Grab it. Don't make excuses. Just live the life you want. It's just, we've seen it. I hate even, but like, I've held it. I know how precious it is. So we have those lessons, and I do feel, in a good way, the weight of CJ directing and guiding, and the presence of him, I really do. But also, I feel that we've, been really privileged to be able to carry him through this fundraiser.
You're phenomenal. We all think we've got problems, and then we hear something like this.
Yeah, cuddle your babies. That's what I say every time. You cuddle your babies as well, Niamh. Thanks so much for talking to us, for upsetting us and talking to us. And Jesus, you're so brave and so lovely and lovely to talk to. idonate.ie is the website. CJ's Rainbow. Do a search for it. We're doing this all morning. Lovely to meet you. Lovely to talk to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Niamh. We really appreciate it.
You're very welcome back. Now, before the break, we spoke to Niamh McCann about an upcoming fundraiser, CJ's Rainbow, which is in memory of her son.
She is a phenomenal person, wasn't it? And her mother Greta just came in as well. She's unbelievable. Deric is in Castlebar this morning, and he's speaking to some of the other people taking part in the event.
Yeah, so Deric, it's over to you.
Absolutely, guys. Fun and fitness. Welcome down here to McHale Park, live here from Castlebar in County Mayo, right across the moor. Cora, you've been given that sock somewhere. How many steps have you done?
Oh, I'd say about 70,000. I'd say I'm not. No, this is not what retirement's meant to look like. But no, we've had a great morning here. Really enjoyable.
Absolutely, Andy. You've done a good few now. I've seen you track up and down, pace up and down the field there now for a bit.
Yeah, I rolled out an old jersey. I think these are player fit. I'm no longer fitting into it. But no, we've done miles. I think the count is up near about 75,000 metres, which is brilliant. We're trying to hit 130,000 metres to symbolise the 130,000 we're trying to look for here on the fundraiser for great charities.
Absolutely. Now, Cora, before we talk about the charity itself, let's talk about your career, because you've played 7 All-Ireland finals for Mayo. You have 4 All-Ireland titles under your belt. I mean, playing at that level for so long is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it is. I suppose sports people really enjoy it. For me, it was probably longer than most. You know, I'd probably 30 years of football under my belt. So, finished playing in Australia last year, so retired from it now. But yeah, it was really enjoyable. You still look back, I'm at reunion stage now, so the memories are flooding back when you meet up with the girls that you won the All-Irelands with.
And it's been a great season, in fact, a great season for both the camogie and the ladies' football as well.
Yeah, well, obviously with Kerry being new winners in the ladies' football the first time in 31 years, and the Cork-Galway game at the camogie last weekend was super, and Cork just edging it. So yeah, two really good finals.
Just edged it by the goal in the end. You mentioned there you went down to Australia to take part in the Aussie rules. How was that for you? What was the transition like?
Yeah, I suppose the transition was different. Obviously a different shaped ball, a different game, but really enjoyable. Yeah, I went down, I'd done 6 seasons down there. I suppose I look on with pride now. There's 37 girls starting in the season in 2 weeks' time, which when I was there I was the first. So yeah, it's a brilliant game, and for females to get the opportunity to play professional sport is amazing.
And of course you're back here to Mayo now, and you're back to coaching level.
Yeah, I'm back coaching. Yeah, I'm with the Ballina Stephen Knight's men's team. So yeah, we're out in championship on Saturday evening. So yeah, enjoying the coaching. It's a different journey, but I suppose it keeps you involved in the game like the punditry does. So really enjoying it.
All right, Andy, you played for Mayo for many years. I believe you even won Footballer of the Year back in 2017. Is that right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, but
are you still milking it?
always. But no, it was great, and there were great days, and we had many great days on this pitch, and it's lovely to be back here doing something kind of worthwhile for the community as well.
I mean, it's been a tough championship for Mayo. They didn't really qualify out of anywhere, really. I mean, how do you make the group of players that we have at the moment? Will they ever win Sam Maguire?
Well, I don't think we need to look at it like that. But the players at the minute are really good, strong group of players. Like you've seen the way Galway and Armagh were in the final. Mayo aren't that far away. And what Armagh winning the final has done, the same as Kerry and the ladies, has given all the other teams the knowledge that someone else, bar Dublin, can come and get the big prize. And I think it's really exciting going into 2025. And I think Mayo have a better chance, as good a chance as anybody else.
And of course the club season kicking off now this weekend. We had Dermot there from Ballintubber earlier on, so it's shaping up pretty nicely down here in Mayo.
Yeah, it's exciting, as Cora said, and Cora is very understated the way she goes on, but she's getting rave reviews in Ballina, so I'm looking forward to watching them play on Saturday evening. It's going to be exciting. Reigning county champions, but Westport, just from over the road here, took the league by storm here a couple of weeks ago, so we've a really kind of open championship. It'll probably still boil down to the same 2 or 3 teams, but football in Mayo is alive, and it's really going well, so I'm looking forward to the weekend to see how it kicks off.
Absolutely. Andy, Cora, I mean, tell us why we're down here this morning, because it's a really worthwhile cause, isn't it?
Yeah, it's for a brilliant cause. Obviously CJ's Rainbows, it's a brilliant childhood cancer charity, trying to do our best. And I suppose for me to be involved, when you're a sports person, you're very privileged. You're in a position where you can help and support out, and to be asked to help here was brilliant. I suppose for me, when I was younger, my mum died from cancer when I was 16, so the effect that cancer has on the individual, on the child themselves, but also on the family and their siblings and support system. So it's really important, and I'm honoured to be here.
Andy, I believe we're trying to raise 130 grand here this morning, and 130,000 metres on top of it.
Yeah, no, it's lovely. I can't wait to get you in these machines. Yeah. I'm sure that's when the money will really start kicking in. But any help that anyone can help, it's going to real worthwhile charities. And I know Joe and Eve. I went to school all through my life with Joe. But when CJ is sick, you can't really do anything to help. But it's now time to maybe help the next family that might be going through the same ordeal and make life a tiny bit better for them, and that's what we're trying to do.
And for two great charities as well.
They're brilliant. Like you seen all the promotion over the weeks when CJ was sick, all the work that was been doing. They had their Christmas in the middle of summer. All the work these charities does is just amazing. Even get a trip away, life-changing trips away, and there's so many people doing so much good stuff in charities. But they're the two that we went with today.
I know you've worked at Leitrim. Just before we let you go, are you ever going to come back to Mayo?
Oh, jeez, that's
in a managerial capacity.
$1 million question. Of course, you always have to, and I'm sure if you ask Cora the same question, that's always kind of the dream and the ideal. But like at the minute, there's a good management team in place there, and you just have to kind of learn and
right, you're not giving us. We'll take it as a yes, right? All right. Thank you so much to Cora and Andy. idonate.ie/CJ's Rainbow. But for now, for me and all the crew here, sun is shining in McHale Park in Mayo. Back to you in the studio. Right, up on the bike. Right, let's go.
There we go.
Thanks.
Well done,
guys.
Deric.
Thanks so much. Well done again. As he just mentioned there, I Donate CJ's Rainbow is where you can donate.
And after the break, we're heading into the kitchen.
Edward Hayden's rustling up our chicken broccoli bake. We'll see you back here in just a couple of minutes.
Now you're very welcome back. We're in the kitchen for a masterclass in midweek meal prep.
And here's the master himself, Edward Hayden.
Absolutely, master of the house.
Master of the house.
Yes, we certainly are. That lovely midweek slump is here today. So I'm going to do a lovely chicken and broccoli crumble, which I kind of think, straddles the whole kind of summer and autumn vibe as a kind of an option. So it's nice and Moorish, but yet lightish as well.
Moorish.
So you can see here what I've just started is I've started sauteing off a little bit of chicken just before the ad break. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to season that now with a little bit of salt and pepper. Again, reminding you to just season once the meat has...
Why are you putting them together like that? Why don't you just put it in on top of it?
Because I don't want all of the steam to go up into my salt cellar and cause soggy salt.
Oh, no.
The master.
The master class, yeah.
Wow, so that happens and then you're getting...
and then it's all soggy and stuck together. So
you grind
I
onto
cover
the
a range of
kitchen.
topics.
Okay,
Yeah.
you grind onto the counter
Yeah,
and then...
the same way with your spices. Now, I don't have any this morning, but you know the way if you had like cinnamon or garam masala
Don't
or
be
something.
putting it over the steam.
Don't put it over the thing because the steam goes up into it and that moisture causes it to get sticky and
it
clogged
gets all
down.
clogged up.
Yeah. Now, so there's our chicken, and again reminding you, don't put any salt on it until it is nicely sealed off. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put in some onions and garlic there, and I'm just going to put in some sautéed leeks. And I'm just going to allow that to cook down for just a couple of minutes there whilst I make a lovely crumble topping. Now, this could be covered with mashed potato, sliced cooked potato, puff pastry, phyllo pastry if you wanted. I'm doing a lovely savoury crumble topping. So here what I've got is I've got some fresh white breadcrumbs.
Did you just buy them in a packet?
Yes, I did. Then I'm going to put in a little bit of grated Parmesan cheese in there, or another type of hard cheese of your choice. I've got some flaked almonds. Now, the almonds give that lovely textural interest, but also nice nutty flavour to the top of the crumble topping.
And if you didn't like almonds, just
leave them out. Yeah, absolutely. Now, again, if I wanted, you could use this topping for pieces of fish. Do you know the way if you had like pieces of salmon or cod, maybe just pop them onto a baking tray, put this topping on the top of them, and then bake them in the oven.
That's a great idea.
So it's a lovely little crust.
Okay.
Now, I've got some fresh herbs here, so I'm just going to use a little bit of fresh parsley, and I'm just going to pop that in, just tear that in roughly at the last minute. Give that all a nice little mix around. Sometimes if I was doing a fish version of this, or even if I wasn't, I might put in a bit of lemon zest in there as well.
Gotcha.
And that can be quite nice. And then I've just got some melted butter. Again, you could use a little bit of oil if you wanted. You could use a little bit of lemon juice, or sometimes if I had it at home, I might use a little bit of pesto, a little bit of basil pesto.
But you've never put it on dry?
No, again, it won't adhere to it. And again, of course, the butter will give it, that golden brown effect when it toasts up in the oven. So that'll be a nice crunchy, toasty topping. So there's our topping made just like so.
That's so simple. When you're thinking, oh, what am I good? What's the pastries at mash? You'll be here all bloody day doing.
Absolutely, it's really simple, and also just consider throwing it into a freezer bag if you're an efficient freezer, and then you can kind of just take it out for bits and pieces up and down. Okay, so here we've got our mixture is just starting to render down. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in some plain flour. So sprinkle in some plain flour on that. And at this stage, I always say it kind of looks as if it's gone horribly wrong. So it kind of dries up and it gets all congealed looking. Yeah. But fear not. So just allow all of that to dry up. You see, any of the residual juices in the pan have all been dried up. Then I'm going to put in some wine. I'm always nervous now telling people to put in a half a glass or a glass, because doesn't everyone have a different definition of what a glass of wine looks like?
Well, it certainly does.
It depends on the day of the week.
It certainly does, Ray. I think you're dead right. So as we move towards the weekend, they certainly get bigger. Now, in there goes our wine, and then I'm just going to put in a mixture of milk and cream, okay, and allow that to then cook down as well. So I'm using a mixture of milk and cream. If I can just say to you at this stage, as a kind of a word of caution, you know, a lot of people in this and other recipes, people might be afraid of putting in the cream at the earlier stage, thinking that it's going to split or it's curdle. I would always think it's probably even more advantageous to put it in at the start to prevent curdling. Because if you think of a really hot liquid and then you're pouring the cream into a really hot liquid, then the fat can tend to separate.
Yeah.
So put it in now, allow that flavour to cook down in there. If you didn't want to use cream, you could use all milk, or you could use a mixture of milk and chicken stock. I'm just going to simmer that. Now, two things I want to tell you. Obviously, I'm making this into a pie. If that's not your desire, you could serve it with rice or pasta, and it would be just a lovely dish, or creamy mashed potato as a one-pot wonder. Two little things that I wanted to tell you. The one that I'm going to make now, I'm going to put straight into the oven. So therefore, I'm going to take, once this is well underway to the boil, as it now is, I'm going to take some of my broccoli and put it in. I'll put that in just a second once it comes a little bit more to the boil. This one I made late last night. So if people are doing that, what I would suggest is what I did, which is to cook the broccoli separately, and I ran it under ice cold water, and then I mixed it into the cool chicken dish, because if I was going to do it last night, my broccoli would be yellow this morning by the time it would continue continue cooking. So that's coming right up to the boil, just like so, and I'm going to just pour in the broccoli, because as I said, I'm going to proceed with caution. Well, the chicken was well started there, so again, we'll be nearly cooked, and then it's going to go into the oven. So that's going to cook down, so literally 4 or 5 minutes now, and then transfer into your receptacle. So again, a little oven-proof dish would be fine. I have a large one, and I have a small one here. So I'm just going to literally take some of that crumble topping, pile it on the top of it, just like so. This is nice and cool, this little bit of crumble mixture that I have. Pile that in just like so. And again, the individual dishes are quite nice as well. If you were going, I won't necessarily down the dinner party route, but something like that.
You leave it loosely, you don't pack it.
Well. Leave it loosely as well. I'm getting caught up with my shirt here. Now, there's our lovely crumble mixture when it comes out of the oven, just like so.
Very impressive.
And it's really nice. And I've just got some little edible herbs there and some little edible flowers that you can just sprinkle over the top of it.
So you stick that in the middle of the table.
Put that in the middle of the table, and I've got my lovely serving spoons there, and you can see we've got lovely chunks of chicken and our nice broccoli in that lovely sauce. So
visually
again,
as well, you're like for a dinner party, whatever, straight away. Lash into that, lads.
It looks lovely.
Can I get a bit of the crumbles at the top?
Of course you can, absolutely.
Look at that.
Now, here we go. I'll give you another little bit.
Can I get a glass of wine actually as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, no.
Large, medium, or small, Ray.
I was going to say it's Thursday, it's Wednesday.
We're going Saturday sizes. Sir, thank you so much. That's lovely. We can get the recipe online. All right, still to come. On Ireland AM, explorer extraordinaire Aldo Kane talks discovering the furthest frontiers of the world's oceans.
All the crew are getting the cups in to eat this. And we meet the Belfast mum who landed a modelling career at the age of 70. See you back here after this.
Oh, this is lovely.
That's delicious.
Hello, welcome back. It is great to have you with us. You are delighted after that, aren't you?
That was gorgeous. I'm doing that this weekend.
Doing that weekend.
This is the broccoli bake, chicken and broccoli bake. You just missed, lads. You just missed it.
You just missed it. It's up online. Loads to come in this hour.
A busy hour left of Ireland AM for you this morning. He joined the military at just 16, rode to South America, and jumped into an erupting volcano with Will Smith. Adventurer Aldo Kane will be checking in with us at about 9:20 this morning.
You got that straight onto the CV. Volcano with Will Smith.
Will Smith's
top
check.
of the volcano. And who says retirement means stopping work? Anne Flanagan began her latest role as a model in her 70s. We're going to be chatting to her about her life on the catwalk at 9:35.
And speaking of life on the catwalk, It's the fabulous Alan. He's over there.
On the catwalk, yes. Beside me is someone who's always living his best life, Rob Condon. Good morning to you,
Good morning.
Rob. What are we looking at this morning?
We are taking a look at wedding guest fashion. If you've got a wedding coming up, it can be an awkward time because the shops are starting to get autumn winter fashion in. We're taking a look at injecting lots of colour from bow block brights like this one to beautiful prints this morning.
Okay, and we have a very special model.
We do, we have a very special model.
We'll be telling you all about that a little later on. And Deric is a Mayo man today. How are you getting on, Deric?
Well, Al, we're up to 102,850 metres here, McHale Park in Castlebar, and we're joined now by a man, well, he's a Roscommon man in Mayo. Sean McDermott, you shouldn't be here at all, Sean.
No, I suppose I'm a bit of an enemy territory, as they say, Deric. You know, we're delighted to be here.
But all for a great cause. And of course, Sean, you're close neighbours with both Joe and Neil.
Yeah, look at I know the McCann family all my life, Deric. You know, myself and Joe only a mile apart from each other at home. Went to school in St. Nathan's together. Yeah, look at Joe and Eve are just fantastic people, and listen, what they've gone through and what they're doing is just incredible. You know, they're an inspiration to us all, and as you can see here this morning, the money that they're raising is just fantastic.
We have that big cycle coming up, the Mizzen to Malin Head, or Malin to Mizzen, the other way around, 650 kilometres, I believe.
That's right, yeah, listen, it'll be incredible. I'm not sure what day they're coming to Ballot, but I'll join the leg if I can. Yeah.
Okay, good man, Sean. Well, I believe this morning we're up to 129,000 so far, thanks to the RNDM viewers. Give a big round of applause. Come on, guys. 129,000. We have to hit that big marker of 130. We'll have more here from McHale Park in the next few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Back to studio.
Wow, well done,
Well
guys.
done.
That's idonate.ie is the website. I donate.
130 by 9:30. It's
Yes, welcome back down here to Castlebar. We're joined now by Tommy Conroy. They call you Tommy Goals, right?
To do sometimes, yeah.
I mean, it's been a good season for you, and of course, championship kicking off now for you, Tommy.
Yeah, heading into the club championship this weekend. So looking forward to getting back with the club now.
Looking forward to it, and all for a great cause here this morning. You've been giving it socks.
Trying to do my bit now.
Trying to do your very best, and of course, we're nearly there. We're nearly there. How many metres have we to go, Andy?
Deric, you've 90 seconds to do 200, so you have to go like hell here.
Oh, here, actually, can we have a 2-2 here first? Come on now, we can't forget the 2-2. Here, we have to get a little bit of colour on. Now, come on. Here we go. I look like Hyacinth Bouquet. Right, here we go.
200.
Right, here we go, come on. We came here for a workout from Mayo. Come on. Mayo for some.
He's on 40. He's on 40.
This is hard. What are we up to?
Yeah, we're now. He's got 100 to go. Good. 90 to go. 90 to go. Good. 80 to go.
Come on, Deric.
Can we put the
Let's
Rocky
do
League
it.
thing to it or something?
We need to raise that money. So the target was 100.
Yeah.
We've already got to...
the target was 100, and they raised it to 130,000 euro, and we're approaching that figure at the moment.
I think we're at 127, a little over 127. And Deric doing this now to bring it to 130.
Oh, 129.
129.
We're
at 129. That is amazing.
Wow, well done, Deric.
Well done, Deric. That's worth an extra few bob to bring it to 130. Can you hear us? He's out of breath.
Sir.
Well done.
I can hear you.
Well done, Deric. So, Deric, I believe we're about 129.
We're at 130,000 metres and over. How much there, Sinead? We've 132,558 raised.
Well done.
Yes.
Well done. That's brilliant. That's fantastic. That's what they want.
Thanks so much.
They've exceeded their target this morning, and that is
congrats. Fair play,
brilliant.
Deric. Well done. Will someone try and revive him there? Are there emergency services on the scene? I mean,
emergency services there.
The weather guy needs to be looked after.
Well done, and thank you so much for helping and donating this morning. That is brilliant.
Now, after the break, the amazing Aldo Kane is going to be joining us live to discuss his record-breaking adventures with and working with legends.
And Anne Flanagan, a woman who found a new career in her 70s, will tell us about her life as the queen of the catwalk.
We'll be back right after these. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Now our next guest joined the Royal Marines in the UK at 16. He's climbed Mount Everest, worked with James Cameron and Will Smith, and has explored the depths of the undiscovered ocean. Put that down on your CAO form.
That's a lot. There's a lot on the CV sheet there. Joining us to talk about his new documentary, An Incredible Career, is adventurer and explorer Aldo Kane. But first, Aldo, you're very welcome. Hi, good to see you. Let's take a quick look at this before we have a chat.
It's 11:30 p.m. Only if they've timed their dive perfectly will they fully experience the vertical migration.
It's amazing seeing them all migrating up to the surface.
What appears to be a few at first grows into a mass bloom.
I've never seen anything like this. There's literally thousands and thousands of jellies.
Like the Scottish Darth Vader there, he was taking the break. Good morning, Aldo. How are you?
Morning, I'm good, thanks.
A happy Scottish Darth Vader. That was from your new show, Ocean Explorers. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so it's basically a series, a docu-series that follows myself and 3 other scientists on board the Ocean Explorer vessel. And we start in the Bahamas, then we go down to Dominican Republic, and then we headed up to the Azores, and then on to Svalbard up in the Arctic in the high north. And really, it's a series that is a passion project for James Cameron, and it was made by BBC Studios, who are obviously famous for making Blue Planet, Planet Earth. So it really was this sort of elite crew that were making this series. So yeah, it was very, very, very fun to make.
Yeah, even just looking at the shots that we just saw there, I can imagine it's mind-blowing. Like the 80% of the world's oceans undiscovered. You might as well be in outer space. Your eyes are the first human eyes seeing some of these things ever. How does that feel?
It's, I've spent my life, the last 30 years, traveling the world and experiencing, pretty amazing environments and places and people. But the ocean, like you say, is so unexplored. And you mentioned outer space there. The ocean is our inner space. And it's right here on our planet. And, we're looking to leave the planet in the not too distant future. And yet we still don't know very much, if anything, about the oceans. That dive that I was doing there was to witness the vertical migration of so many things, from plankton to sharks, jellies, that happens every single night in our oceans. So I had to pinch myself so many times in the filming of it, just because of how insane it was.
I'm just wondering how you feel about human intervention. An awful lot of time ends up destroying things. We get involved and things happen. We know that there's a fellow who's trying to deep sea mine at the bottom of the ocean, and that what could happen could be catastrophic. Do you worry about humans getting too involved in this? Because obviously we've already done so much damage to oceans.
Well, the interesting thing is that, like, 85% or more of the oceans are completely undiscovered. We don't know what's on the bottom, and we don't know very much about the animals and wildlife that live there. Yet human effects are in all oceans. We've affected all oceans with temperature rises, with plastic in the ocean and ghost nets. So really the far reaches of human activity are already being felt around the world. And that's what this series is about. It's like a call to arms to show the world just how amazing the oceans are and how unexplored they actually are. And, from my own personal point of view, if we can inspire the next generation of scientists and explorers and biologists, then that is key, because we need more people trying to protect the oceans and everything in them.
Yeah. You mentioned James Cameron. Everyone says Titanic. I always go Aliens. But to each their own.
You'd want to sing My Heart Will Go On to him, though, wouldn't you? You'd want to.
You would, in an alien costume. I can't imagine. He's a mercurial character. What was that call like from James?
It was, it's obviously quite surreal. I've spent the last 15 years working in television and film, and I get to work with some big people, whether it's Tom Hardy or Will Smith. And but to get the call for this really excited me because I knew how passionate James was about the oceans and about exploration. You know, he's very much about not just exploring for the sake of exploring, but to collect data to better understand the environment. So yeah, I guess the first call was strange because it was asking me to go to LA to meet him, where I met him in the Avatar studio while he was filming there.
Wow.
And there's, you know, here's this little Scottish guy that's, you know, that grew up in Kowinning, and now I'm in LA in a studio with James Cameron talking about a big ocean conservation series that he wanted me to be part of. So again, another pinch me moment. And he was incredibly involved in all of it. You know, this is a passion project of his that he had ticking along for 5 to 10 years before now. So it really was waiting for all the pieces to be in place. And of course, we had COVID came along right at the time we were starting to film. So it had a little bit of an impact on where we could go and what we could do. But ultimately, it was an amazing experience working with him, to the point where I didn't realize in one of, you know, we had 4 or 5 days filming with him, and I was the first to be interviewed. And he then picked up the camera and started filming, which is, I found, you know, he's on the tools. He's very heavily involved.
Okay. Yeah. Can I ask you, Aldo, how did you get here? As you said there, you know, you grew up in a small place in Scotland, and next thing you're at the bottom of the ocean with James Cameron. How does that happen?
So I joined the military for 10 years, and, you know, that gives me a basis of skills, whether it's working in jungles, deserts, the Arctic, and on the ocean. And I guess when I left, I spent 10 years doing that. And then when I left, I really wanted to travel more and to understand the world more, understand myself more. But I'm also a person that likes to provide service. So I was asked by a BBC film crew not long after I left if I could get a film crew inside an active volcano in the Congo, and it would involve my sort of military security background, my technical rope rigging background, people management. And I went and did the job. It was like a month living in and around this volcano, and I came back from there.
Yeah, as you
and I thought, wow, there's this whole career that I could, you know, try and get into. So I came back from that job and I just upped all my skills. I just doubled down on everything that I knew that would be useful to film crews, directors, and that's kind of like, that was the start. And then for the last 7 or 8 years, I've been working on some big Nat Geo projects, Disney projects, which is, you know, the Will Smith one, obviously, which is out as well. And that involves, you know, taking him and getting inside active volcanoes and abseiling down into caves and cave diving. So it's been a wild ride, I have to say.
Yeah, you saw your baby arriving over what? Like you're filming all over the world, but you connect through WhatsApp, obviously to your baby being born. What do your family make of you doing all this and putting yourself in these situations?
My wife's a producer, so she.
All right, she's like, another gig,
get the shot.
Yeah, she knows. But it was quite difficult actually, because what happened with filming the series Ocean Explorers was we were supposed to be filming in 2020. COVID came. It got bumped to 2021. And we weren't sure when it was going to happen, and we ended up getting pregnant. And he was due to be born. Atlas was due to be born when I was on the trip. So we already knew before I left.
Wow.
That's me just getting back and meeting Atlas for the first time after being on the expedition. But I'd been diving with humpbacks in the morning, and then got up, had lunch, and then went into the science lab on the Ocean Explorer and watched my wife giving birth to him on WhatsApp. Truly, like, the best day and one of the most difficult days of my life, I think. But that's
I can imagine you were going, scientists, get out of the room. You can't watch this.
Yeah, Stop dealing with data. I need to watch my son.
What a life. What a way to live. Congratulations.
Wow.
It's called Ocean Explorers. It's available to stream Monday the 19th of August on Disney+, and it premieres the 25th of August on Nat Geo National Geographic from 5:30 p.m. on the 25th. Aldo, Kane, a pleasure to talk to you, sir. Continued success.
Thank you so much.
Cheers,
Appreciate
man.
that.
All
Thanks
the best.
a million.
Much love. Now, coming up, we'll be meeting the Belfast mother who landed a career as a model at 70 after a video turned her into a social media sensation.
Plus, we're going to have expert tips on finding the perfect wedding guest dress. We'll talk to you shortly on Ireland AM. Now, earlier this year, a Belfast woman became the unexpected star of a heartwarming Instagram video that went viral. I think I looked yesterday, it's over 42 million views.
Yes, her life took an exciting turn after a chance encounter with a photographer. Let's have a look at that meeting.
So sorry to bother you, but I noticed you and I think you look absolutely amazing.
Thank you very much.
I'm a photographer, and I take pictures of people.
Well, I've just had coffee with my husband and he's walking home. I've had a look around some shops.
What's your name?
Anne.
How long have you been married?
42 years this year.
42, since 1982.
I'm an old lady. I'm 70.
And I can see the little bit of doubt you have.
Let it go.
And I am so thrilled that I stopped you because you've been so friendly, you've been so talkative, you've been so open, and you look great.
The music makes you go.
Isn't that amazing? So basically, that's just what happened.
Anne Flanagan, good morning.
Anne Flanagan, good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why he just came up to you like that on the streets of Belfast.
It was as random as that. And actually, yeah, it was outside the City Hall in Belfast. And to be honest, I did see his camera. But because of where it happened, I actually thought he was a tourist, and I'm always
taking pictures of City Hall or whatever,
or was looking for directions or something. And I'm always keen to help tourists who come to visit our city. So I didn't hesitate when he came to speak to me.
Now that is Christopher.
Chris Ward.
Chris Ward. He's got, it's at Model Strangers, I think is what he does, which is a beautiful Instagram account. But of course, no one really knows what he looks like. So when you were very open and friendly, like obviously, like you didn't think anything mad was going to come out of it.
No, absolutely not. I mean, he came up, he told me what he did. He told me he had an Instagram page, and I'm not active on social media, so he had to explain to me what it was, and he showed me some of the people that he's interviewed, and we had a lovely chat, and actually I probably asked him as much about him as he asked me about me. And we just had a lovely chat, and he asked could he take some photographs, and after that he said would I mind if he put them up on his Instagram page, and I didn't hesitate, really, because I felt a connection nearly with Chris. Chris has got a lovely manner, a very sincere, genuine manner, and I think if you look at any of his posts, anyone that Chris stops to speak to, he begins by giving them a compliment of some description. And it's the sense is that it's genuine. Chris means it, and I think that's.
And sure, why wouldn't you? You look beautiful in them. Like, you really do look beautiful in them. And then what happened then after that? Because, as we say, millions of views. Yeah. And I believe now you're signed to a model agency.
Oh, I know, it's just bizarre. I'm talking in language that I didn't even know existed before. The first thing that happened was I was approached by a lovely girl called Amy Anderson, who is behind Kindred of Ireland, which is she's an Irish designer, and she designed solely in Irish linen and Donegal tweed. And she saw the photograph that Chris put up, and she asked me, would I do a photo shoot for her? And I was a bit taken aback, and I said, look, you haven't ever met me. You don't really know what I look like. And she said, no, I would like you to do this for me. So I went and did a photo shoot for Amy. And I can tell you, the day I was going to her studio, I was nearly physically sick walking along, because I thought, here's a girl, she's an entrepreneur. She's signed up a photographer to look at me in her clothes. I don't want to let her down. And I had an amazing day with Amy. So that's where it began.
This is some of the stuff. Gorgeous photos.
A reason one of the videos went viral, because he does this all the time, and a lot of his videos go, but not all of them, and this went really massively viral, is I think the connection that you had, but also you were talking about your life. You know, you'd been a civil servant.
That's right.
Most of your life. And he talked to you about, you know, your look, but then you kind of talked about how you had not really any confidence, but you tried to instill your daughters with that confidence, and people really connected with that.
Yeah, I think people connected with the fact that I was very honest, and maybe, you know, when you're having a chat with somebody, and, you know, I like to be honest and open about what I feel and what I believe. And I was open about a lack of confidence, and I had a wonderful career. And as I said to Chris, I think people that I worked with believed in me more than I believed in myself. But it's very important, and I say this to my daughters, and I said it in work as well when I was working. I don't think if you lack confidence, it shouldn't be a barrier. You've got to find techniques and ways of overcoming it. And in work, I had lots of wonderful opportunities too, and I could never let anybody down. I've got a real sense of responsibility. I may not have great confidence, but I've got great sense of responsibility. So if I agree to do something, or I'm expected to do something, I will give it my very best shot.
You will turn up for it. But after seeing photographs like that and seeing what you're doing now, has it given you a bit more confidence?
I don't think I'll ever change.
Oh, really? It's still, because I was chatting to you outside about the modelling. You said, I have to model with all those gorgeous girls.
I know.
And look at your photo shoots, are amazing.
I know, but I'm a novice. I am a novice at this. But to be honest, it's been fun. And it was a real joy whenever the modelling agency contacted me then and asked to sign me up.
Because... Can I ask you about this?
Yeah.
Because I saw underneath a lot of the comments, some people who work with you, and they were like, oh my God, Anne was always so fashionable. And we'd be like, how does she do her hair? How does she do this? And you'd always be like, stop it. Basically, a penny's on. Oh my God, penny's on. But this is your second career, essentially. After you retired from the civil service, you cared for your father.
I looked after my dad for 2 years, which was an enormous joy and privilege. And just... I would never, ever, ever, ever regret doing that. It was a joy.
But then there is kind of, OK, what am I going to do now? And I know that you help out in a nursing home. But there's been a lot of talk recently about people were living longer, but you're kind of retired. But that sense of purpose, that sense of self, and people getting out there and doing things. And that's what you're doing.
Well, that's what I'm doing. And I really hope that my story inspires other people. And if nothing else, you know, what's happened to me and the profile that it's had, if it gives encouragement to other people, I'm absolutely overjoyed. And I know from the people who've stopped me, because I'm surprised to say this, but I do get stopped. People say, oh, you're Anne from Instagram, or I've seen you on Facebook. But the serious point is the number of women who've stopped me and spoken to me and said, thank you for being visible, because sometimes as an older woman, we feel invisible. And if my story inspires people, and I really do hope people just grab opportunities, as I always say, you know, opportunities come to pass, not to pause. Create them. Take them when they come your way. And aren't I blessed at 70? If nobody ever wanted to see me again, it wouldn't matter, you know.
I think people will want to see you again.
But seriously,
but I mean,
I'm not
dependent. You're not dependent
on it. But it's been such a joy and such fun.
You've been so gorgeous. You really have. Thank you.
The real life
so much.
Miranda Priestley, the nice Miranda Priestley from The Devil Wears Prada. It's unbelievable. But you know what? Anna's going to be modelling for us next on the catwalk. We're doing a wedding dress. She's like, oh God, don't. We'll be back with you with Anne on the catwalk in a minute. It's going to be great.
Great. Thanks for staying with us. Now, if you're planning on going to a wedding, well, Rob Condon has all the looks that you'll need. Good morning.
Good morning.
Wedding guest attire.
Yes, lots of great looks for a wedding guest. I think it's an awkward time of year for if you're picking an outfit as a wedding guest, because in the shops, kind of coming into autumn, winter, there's still some summer pieces, but you still want to look bright and summery at the same time.
Let's get Sarah out for our first look
Sarah
this
is up
morning.
with us first, and this look here, the dress I've gone for this morning is from Vavavoom. A gorgeous dress here. I love the print of this dress. I think it's a transitional dress as well. Beautiful backdrop to this print. The print is quite big, but it's not too fussy at the same time. €78 V neckline to this. You can see there's ruching detail into the middle of it here, so it's nearly a faux wrap dress. So you're getting that shape of a wrap dress, but it's not a wrap dress.
Those dresses are kind of magic dresses as well for all sizes, because I know that they do accentuate what you want.
Yes, exactly, because of the ruching. It's quite clever. You can see the shoulder detailing as well. So this dress has shoulder pads in it. What I like about it is it's actually a big shoulder pad. So you're getting that structure. It's not just this little shoulder pad, so it is giving you lots of structure. And if you didn't want the shoulder pad, you could take them off as well.
It's a great dress for great price for weddings.
It is.
It is.
It's a really great dress, and it's a dress that
And
you
you've
could
done with a
transition.
Fascinator.
Yes, so bringing those kind of navy tones that's in it, we have gone with this fascinator here. Now, with weddings, it's not something that you have to wear a hat or a fascinator anymore, but if you are someone who likes to, we've gone with this
more of a
simple
fancy wedding.
If it is, exactly. If it's a fancy wedding.
And then simple earrings with
and it's coming down, and then we've gone with a gold earring there, which works really well. I think gold accessories with the colours to this dress just work perfectly. I think with the V-neck line to it, I'd leave it bare and go with a
Yes, and then the cross, the shoe's lovely.
Yes, and then we've just matched the shoes back in, bringing those navy tones that we did with the fascinator, and it just brings it together really well. I think with the print, you want to go simple, but definitely you could add colour to it as well. A burnt orange would go great with this shade as well if you wanted to change it around.
It is a lovely dress now.
Thank you, Sarah. Hannah's got our second look.
Hannah is with us for this look here, and we've stayed with kind of that green tone, but a forest green look with this dress. So it's a one-shouldered dress. I think this is a perfect dress.
Younger look now.
Yeah, it is a younger look, but as well, a lot of people are getting married away, so you want something that's a little bit more summery. I think this would work great for a wedding guest who is going abroad.
An incredibly summery here, but you can totally make this winter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Lots of ruching detailing, which is quite clever the way it's done as well to the sides of it there. The one shoulder to it. I just think it's a great dress. It's a simple dress, but it's really making a statement.
With all the ruching, can you push that up or pull it down?
You could play around with it a little bit and bring it up a little bit. But Hannah is quite tall, and you can see it is a good length to this. So if you're a little smaller, you're getting more length as well. So I think because you're showing so much off at the top half, it's a great length to add to it.
Gold accessories, clutch bag.
Yes, the gold accessories to go with this dress from Vavavoom. We've gone with the clutch bag here. So I think gold just works great with this, and that's what we've matched it back in then with the little bangle to the side of it. I think because it's a simple colour, you can go all out with accessories with this.
And you've also matched some earrings in with it.
Yeah, we've gone with a really statement earring. So again, I wouldn't put a necklace with this dress, just put the neckline to it. I'd go statement earring, and these really are making a statement with those earrings.
You've done enough with the shoes, Rob.
I was going to say, there's some shoes, aren't they?
We've gone all out with the shoes this morning with it, but I think they go great.
They're very bling,
with the look.
aren't they?
But what's great about these shoes are they look really high. You're getting height out of it, but they're not because you've got that platform to the front.
They're quite flat.
So they're easier to walk in. But you're getting height.
Stable on
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, Hannah.
They're very glitzy. I love them.
Yeah.
Very glitzy, they are.
Danny
What's
is
Danny got for us?
Look at Danny's off to a very posh wedding. Look at
She's off to Ibiza as well. Love it.
We've got a bold block bright with this look here from dresses.ie. I love this. I love the length to it. I love the cutout detailing to it. I think with that cutout detail, it was very clever that they went a little bit longer with this dress as well, because if you're kind of showing off here, you want it to be a little bit longer, with them bringing the slit detailing to the side of it. It's a great dress, especially if it's a wedding abroad, because it doesn't crease, so you can roll it up in the suitcase. It's going to be perfect when you get there.
Yeah.
I love the sleeve to it as well. You can see an A-line sleeve to the bottom of it there. It's just a really great colour, and lots you're going to be able to do with this accessory-wise.
And then with the bag, it is a crossbody. You really have leaned into the foreign wedding,
yes,
I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Going with that basket detailing with the black bag there, gold clasp detailing to it. It just works really well with the colour of this dress. Bringing in kind of a more muted tone works.
And
great
sunglasses
and then we've gone with a pair of sunglasses.
And you've got a little headpiece.
Really
in here.
oversized sunglasses. We do with a little bit headpiece there. To the other side there, and then those statement sunglasses, and then we've also gone with a really statement earring here. They're hammered gold earring, but again another really statement piece.
Absolutely.
And a nice pair of shoes.
Yes, and then we've kept it quite simple, and we've gone with the nude shoes here. I think with this colour, it's quite a vibrant colour, so I keep to kind of black or nudes with it.
Yeah. Well, you could clash if you wanted to.
You could go all out block bow brights with it. But I'd either go really out with block bow brights or
just
keep it muted. Yeah.
Absolutely. Danny,
with this look.
as always, thank you, darling. So good. Now, we saw her, we were chatting to Anne Flanagan just a few minutes ago, making her debut on the catwalk. Here she is. Yes. Here we go.
Yes.
Looking lovely.
Another gorgeous look here. We've gone with bow block brights with this. I thought Anne was going to kill me when I showed her the shoes this morning. But it looks great on her. I think this tone suits a lot of different colours as well. but looking
It
great
does.
there. V-neck line to it. You can see, again, ruching detail. It's very clever. It's a faux wrap dress. You're going to get great shape out of this. The length of it's great as well, but it's slit detailing to it. And I love the arm length as well, because you're getting that coverage with it also.
Gorgeous.
And just works really well.
It's a lovely colour, all right. And the bag
It is.
just with it.
Then we've gone with quite a simple clutch bag here that just works really well with the tones to that dress.
And you've put a little headband on, Anne, as well.
We've gone with the little headpiece here to the side. So it's quite a simple piece. I could go with lots of different hairstyles as well. You can see in Anne's hair it goes quite well. But also if you're going with an up style and adding that to the side of it, it could work really well also.
And let's talk about the shoes that Anne was like, will you get away from me, Rob Condon? I'm never coming back in here again.
Do you not like the shoes? No, I think the shoes are great on you.
Well, when I showed them, she was a bit, but then she said, oh, they're actually comfortable. So she wore them around for the morning, and now she's liking them.
Now she loves them.
Yeah.
They've got a good heel, good chunk.
Exactly. That's what I said to Anne. I was like, no, they've got a chunky heel, so they're going to be grand to walk in. And then she's like, oh, no, they are grand. But they're great. They're going to go with lots of different things. Even jeans with these would work really well.
Yeah.
White pair of jeans, these gold accessories, they're going to work.
Gorgeous. Well, I tell you,
Rocking it, Anne.
Rob and the
Rocking
women have been singing your praises this morning, and it's so lovely to have you here and doing this, Anne. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And I'd say Rob was like, come on, we'll throw into the loudest dress we have. Let's go. Rob Condon.
Thank you.
Thank you so
As always,
much.
thank
for
you
that.
so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
So nice.
Now, Ray, what's coming up on tomorrow's show?
Thanks, guys. Coming up tomorrow's Thursday's Ireland Day, and we discuss tracking your child's whereabouts. We'll chat to footballer Julianne Russell on her return to the Irish squad, plus the latest movies to watch, fashion on the catwalk, and vegan Mars bar cheesecake in the kitchen. Oh, yes.
What?
Love
A vegan Mars bar cheesecake.
So it won't be
Ticking all
real
the boxes. Don't get hung up on the vegan bit, and we'll enjoy
we have a Mars bar. It'll be a
Because
Mars
everything always
bar.
works.
Live from 7 on Virgin Media 1 and Virgin Media Player. Can I give a quick mention?
Yes.
€134,000
Is that
on
what we got?
idonate.ie for CJ's Rainbow.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
So
We were talking to Niamh a little bit earlier on, Niamh McGann, who was here talking about her son, CJ, who had a brain tumour. He died at 21 months old, and Deric has been in Mayo all morning.
Castlebar is lit this morning.
Lit this morning.
With the fundraising.
But it was
they're
like
going to be doing a huge cycle
they
as well.
wanted 100,000 and they raised it, and they've surpassed that this morning. So thank you to everybody who's tuned in and has donated,
Amazing.
because it really makes such a difference. Because it was heartbreaking to listen to her story this morning. It really was.
But they're not done,
They're
because
not
they're going to
done?
be doing this Malin to Mizzen challenge, and they're raising for such Hands with Hands and also Oscars. So it's really important. If you can keep on giving, it would be amazing for them to keep on.
If you could do a
giving.
search, it's CJ's Rainbow on idonate.ie. Idonate.ie is the website. Type in CJ, you find it right away. That's where I found it. And they're currently getting €134,000. More power to them.
Yeah.
And congrats.
And
a
thank
grateful.
you.
Yeah, thank you, our
For
viewers.
doing that this
Yeah.
morning. You're absolutely amazing. We really appreciate it.
It was a lovely,
Thanks a million.
colourful morning, a rainbow colourful morning over in the west there this morning. So it was really great.
We hope you have a lovely day.
Yeah, I'm expecting to be stopped as I'm walking out in the car park later.
To be a model?
To be a model.
To be a model.
To be a model.
He's gonna be
What I was going to say there.
He's going to be a model.
You a model? Okay.
He'll be on the radio later on today on Today FM. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
See you later.
Bye-bye.